Welcome to the fourth episode of the Conclub Brief. In this episode, we will look at the telecommunication business. Very broadly, the telecom business is divided into two segments, the equipment segment and the services segment. Customer interface devices like mobiles and transmission equipments are the two major categories under equipment. Under services segment, mobile, fixed line and internet are the three business categories. Huawei is the largest company in the equipment segment, not considering mobile device manufacturers. It is followed by Ericsson and Cisco in terms of revenue generation. In the mobile device category, Samsung is the market leader, followed by Apple. In the service industry, the biggest player across the globe is China Mobile, followed by AT&T, Vodafone and Verizon. The size of the global industry is about $1.6 trillion with an average growth rate of about 0.3%. To this market size, network operators contribute to about 55%, device vendors contribute to about 20%, over-the-top content contributes to about 10%, retail distribution and customer services contributes to another 10%, and infrastructure contributes to about 5%. Telecom industry across the globe is in different stages of its growth cycle. In most developed countries, the markets have saturated and growth is only driven by innovation and hence growth is very slow or even negative. Most of the market share is concentrated in these regions. North America contributes to about 27% of market share and is growing at just 1%. Latin America and Europe are showing a negative growth rate. Europe contributes to about 25% of the market share. Developed Asia Pacific contributes to 13% of the industry and is growing at just 1%. Two fastest growing regions are the Middle East and Africa, and secondly the emerging economies in Asia Pacific. Middle East and Africa has a growth rate of 4%, whereas emerging Asia Pacific has a growth rate of 7%. Major reason behind this difference is that in these fast-growing developing regions, growth is driven by penetration, whereas in the developed countries, it is driven by utilization density. Indian telecom industry is about $80 billion in size and is growing at about 10%. Bharti Airtel is the largest company with 24% market share and is followed by Vodafone and Idea. After the completion of the merger between Reliance and Aircel, that entity will become the third largest player in India. India has the second largest telecom network in the world. We have the third largest internet user base. Teledensity number is healthy at about 83%. 87% of internet users in India access internet via mobiles. Telecom contributes to 2% of the Indian GDP. 97% of subscribers use mobile services, whereas the fixed line or landline services is used by only 3%. Rural market is largely untapped in terms of penetration and will be the major growth factor ahead. Urban teledensity is almost thrice the rural teledensity. Let us look at the revenue and cost streams for a telecom business, especially from the perspective of operators. On the revenue side, there are three major sources of income. First is from voice services, which is the calling facility we use. Second is data services, and third is a wide range of value-added services such as missed call notification or caller tunes. Being a very capital-intensive industry, telecom players often prefer to share the infrastructure they build at a price that is a significant source of revenue. On the cost side, the most critical capital cost is the spectrum buying cost. Due to the extremely competitive nature of the industry, spectrums are very costly. Most telecom companies are debt-ridden because of this. Creation of infrastructure is the next important cost. Instead of creating infrastructure, companies often choose to rent it in different circles. Customer service related expenditure is the next major cost head. And finally, marketing contributes to a significant cost to companies, especially since churn rates are higher and industry is super competitive. GSM and CDMA are probably terms we have all heard, and now LTE is the new buzz. So what exactly are they? GSM stands for Global System for Mobile Communication. CDMA stands for Code Division Multiple Access. LTE stands for Long-Term Evolution. These are just three among many telecommunication technologies. GSM holds majority market share across the globe, but that does not mean GSM is better than CDMA. Both GSM and CDMA have their own advantages and disadvantages. The quality of service is rather dependent on how well technology is implemented by the service provider. Being a SIM card based technology, GSM allows users to easily switch mobiles, and for the same reason, GSM outpaced CDMA. However, big companies like Verizon and Sprint in USA never switched to GSM because they had a huge customer base to sustain. They have rather focused on developing 4G technologies. LTE is going to be the future of the telecom industry. It has already penetrated into developed markets and is at a nascent stage in growing markets like India. Here are some of the terms that you must know. Teledensity is the number of teleconnections per 100 people. Teledensity in India is currently about 83%. To this density, mobiles contribute to about 97%. Churn rate is the number of customers leaving a particular network. It also relates to average customer life. For example, 25% churn rate means 4-year customer life. Spectrum is a band of electromagnetic waves in a specific range of frequencies. Each operator is assigned a specific band which they use to transmit signals. Frequency affects reach of distance a signal can travel. A 1800 MHz band would need more amplification stations than a 900 MHz band. 900 MHz band also provides better indoor coverage. Over-the-top content is the audio-video media content transmitted over the internet without an operator like cable or a D2H provider controlling it. VoLTE, in very crude terms, it is voice calls made via data service. The technology uses the advantages of LTE technology to change the existing way in which we call each other. It can move more data at a faster speed. Average revenue per user is the most common metric for evaluation of performance of a telecom business. Here are some key numbers to remember. The typical EBITDA margin of Indian telecom companies is 30%. The internet penetration in India is 35% and 30% of that is via mobiles. The average churn rate for Indian telecom companies is about 25%. The average data consumption per user is 1.5 GB per month. The chart shows the average revenue per customer for major telecom companies in India. In order to picturize how the industry would perform in future, let us look at the major challenges, opportunities, and growth drivers. Rural India is a major thrust behind growth. There is still a huge scope for penetration in this market. Data is going to be the future of telecom. Voice services would slowly become less and less relevant and end up being just an attribute of data service. 4G technologies, especially LTE, are being adopted very rapidly. Increasing smartphone penetration would further lead to increased adoption of data-related services. Over-the-top content is a major driver behind data growth today. With financial challenges and net shift of technology from 3G to 4G, consolidation is an attractive option in the telecom industry. Reliance and Aircel merger highlights this fact. Digitization and use of advanced analytics is going to be important as it is a pure service industry and customer is super elastic to quality functionality of service. As older technologies become outdated in particular markets, companies can look to enter into less developed geographies. Africa is a major attraction for most telecom players to invest because of this reason. Capital-intensive investments have left most companies debt-ridden. Buying spectrum to expand services becomes a bigger problem because of that. Dealing with changing government regulations is associated with costs to companies in order to adapt to change. With similar kind of services being provided by almost 8 major players in the market, service differentiation is a challenge for each operator. Churn rate is about 25%. Acquisition of every new customer costs a lot to companies, and high churn rate means less profits. Hence, focus on customer retention is important. Ultimately, technology is the heart of the industry. Technological advancements open up new avenues to provide service. R&D and technological upgrades at the right time and the right geography is critical. Thank you for watching this episode of the Conclub Brief. Hope it was useful. Please share, like and comment. Also follow our Facebook page to make sure you don't miss out on any new updates.